Welcome to the XY Advisor podcast, where it's our goal to help you become the best financial advisor possible and drive the positive evolution of financial advice.
Hey guys, Ben Nash from the XY Advisor crew, and I'm super pumped to be introducing this brand new series we're about to kick off all around the 3 Ps of Plan, Produce, Profit. Now, the XY team has spent a lot of time thinking about what makes a great financial advice offering, a great financial advice business, and what we distilled it down to was that there are 3 key elements that you need to get right to have any level of success in your financial planning business. The first is about planning and how to plan an epic service proposition that's engaging for the people that you want to work with and compelling to drive real results within your business. The second is about producing, and that's about being efficient in your business, streamlining things, maximizing the benefits of technology to run a scalable and profitable advice service. And then the third is profit, which is all about getting your message out to a bigger market. How do you attract more people into this awesome offer that you're running efficiently and scalably? So I'm taking over the next 15 episodes. We're going to have 15 advisors, going to be 100% advisors. I've had a bunch of fun with the recordings that I've done so far, the interviews, and I've got a few more great ones to come. So I hope you enjoy this series.
As you scale your advice business, are you frustrated with the amount of compliance, paperwork, and staffing issues? Virtual Business Partners specializes in helping financial services firms in 4 areas: admin, paraplanning, bookkeeping, and marketing. Virtual Business Partners work with you to get your business offshore ready. This includes identifying what tasks need to be done locally and what functions can be managed offshore. Advisors find they can reduce back office costs by between 50 and 75% and significantly improve their task turnaround times. For more information, go to virtualbusinesspartners.com.au.
Well, Fox Hare, aka Jess and Glen. Guys, thanks for joining me today for the Plan, Produce, Profit series. And today we're talking all about planning your business, so I appreciate you taking the time. I've got a couple of rapid fire ones for the people in the audience that don't know you already. Mm-hmm. So what's your ideal client?
Someone young professional, age between kind of 25, 45.
Cool. And what's your offer?
To help our clients achieve their goals.
Great. Team?
How many in the team?
Yep.
Jess and I, and then 2 support staff.
Right. Number of clients?
Yep. Me, my turn. We have 111 clients.
Well, okay. Should have asked you if I could ask this one before. Can we ask for revenue banding?
Upfront or ongoing?
Of your business?
Over business. So we've just ticked over the $500,000 mark.
So tell us, my other question is time. How much time do you spend working on your business? How many hours in the week?
On the business or in the business?
Total, how many hours do you work a week?
I would work about 70 to 75.
No, he wouldn't. He would work like 95.
No.
We work 6 days predominantly a week. So we work Saturdays as well, which is probably a bit different to most
with
other
clients as well, right?
Yeah,
that is bold.
Yeah, it's actually really good in terms of, like, Glenn and I have lots of conversations about this. If you're a business owner, all the days of the week don't really matter. Like, if you can work a Saturday and then take a Tuesday off, why is that a big deal? I guess it becomes more complicated if you've got kids and family commitments and stuff, which we don't have. So that's kind of mitigating that situation. But clients love it. They really do, because they're chilled. Firstly, they're together. They haven't been stressed out all day. So we work predominantly 6 days a week. So look, we don't know how many hours we work. We work quite a bit.
Yeah. I like I often work on the weekend, but I like the weekends to clear my workload, not to do more work that creates additional work. So I tend to stay away from the client stuff on the weekend.
Yeah. So what we do, for me, I usually block out most Wednesdays. because that's where I clear my work, because it's more convenient to see the clients on a Saturday for them.
And I don't see clients on a Monday.
Cool.
We do have aspirations, though, to go down to 5 days a week. That's a business goal for us. But in terms of what that day we take off, it might be a Monday or a Tuesday or something like that. So Saturdays just seems really popular.
Cool. And the other question is, how long has your business been going for?
Just over 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah, we launched in October 2017
Oh,
with no clients, none.
Cool.
Yeah.
Starting from scratch. Love that. Did the same thing when I started Pivot Wealth. So that's amazing. 100 plus clients, $500,000, 18 months. It's well done. Well done, team.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about that journey, the background, and how you've ended up where you are today.
Sure. So Glenn and I both worked at Macquarie Bank together, and we had different roles, but we had the same clients. So our clients were financial advisors, and we did quite a few road trips.
Out to Dubbo and Orange and all that.
You get to know each other pretty well. I mean, you're in a car, you're trapped in a confined space for a pretty long period of time. And to be perfectly frank, we were having conversations about the fact that we couldn't see younger clients being serviced by traditional advice models, and we felt that there was a really strong need to offer more diversity in who gives and who gets advice. And so for about 2 and a bit years, we were working on Fox Hare before we launched, and it just gave us a tremendous amount of time and opportunity to really think about, who do we want to be as an organisation and how do we want to help our clients? And we really developed that pre-launch. So we didn't kind of open the door October 2017 and then try to work out what the hell we were going to deliver. And we really spent a lot of time strategically thinking about what does the business look like and how we're going to work with people moving forward.
Yeah. Look, I love that. I think today, one of the things that we've found with the XY group is that there are these, planning an epic service proposition that's compelling to your ideal customer is a really a cornerstone to any successful advice practice as well. So, but I think just for people listening that aren't familiar with you guys, probably worth one thing that you sort of just quickly rush through there is that you guys work in Macquarie as on the product side, on the other side of the fence. So when you started your business just 18 months ago, you had not been advisors before, you had not run an advice business before, you had not created a statement of advice, financial plan.
I'm giggling. Yeah, no, we hadn't done any of those things.
So bold move.
Yeah.
It
was pretty. It's been a pretty steep learning curve, but enjoyable along the way.
I think there's something quite nice about not knowing. Like, I'm not sure if you know what you're getting yourself into. Like, you've got to be pretty crazy to really, if you've really understood what endeavour you're taking on and what that will take. Like, my best analogy is I think it's like having a newborn. Like, what having a baby is going to be like, but you do not know what having a baby is going to be like until you have a baby.
I was going to use that same analogy as someone that's just about to have their first kid. It's like I've seen babies before.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, so that learning curve that you're about to experience, this is how we have felt for the last 18 months. And it genuinely feels like a newborn. Like, it literally keeps me awake at night. If you don't look after it, you can really see that it needs a lot of attention and care. And yeah, it's been a long 18 months, but it's been an amazing and strange, like, small business is so different to corporate. And when you've worked in corporate for such a long time, you really forget that small business, you spin so many plates. I mean, Glenn's laptop is perpetually dying.
I'm a regular at the Genius Bar at Apple because, I don't know, something's wrong with the hard drive.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so like,
make an email signature. I know that when I started my business, I was like, fuck, what? You mean I got to do that? And then it's like, how do you get the little picture in there?
Yeah.
And then get the little picture to not go
be
away.
all weird formatted. Yeah, I know.
You guys have gone one level further though, because you have flashing pictures and multiple pictures in the same picture.
Yes.
So well done. Clearly the Genius Bar. That time at the Genius Bar is time well spent.
Paying off. Yeah.
But yeah, no, there are so many resources that you completely take for granted in a large organisation, and even just the logistics that you take on as a small business owner, particularly when you've never given advice before. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys have got it from both sides because, like I had written a heap of financial plans when I started my business, but a business, as you mentioned, is its whole own sort of learning curve, and then you've got trying to be a competent financial advisor. You picked I'd say interesting times. I feel like they're all interesting times for the last sort of almost decade in the financial advice space, but a lot of change and on the advice and making sure that we're doing the right thing, but also that everything's consistent with the myriad sort of laws that they throw at us as well. So how did you guys negotiate that, and what have one of you sort of taken more charge in? Clearly you're the IT guy, but like if you think about business and advice, or has that been a journey that you've very much gone on together?
No, definitely gone on together. So we've got, I suppose, as a corporate has kind of different business units. You've got marketing, IT, HR, all of, I guess, finance, all of that kind of area. We've actually split those roles between Jess and I. So I do look after kind of the IT component. So if something breaks, I'm at the Genius Bar or at JB Hi-Fi or whatever the case may be. Whereas on the HR side, because we have hired a couple of people over the last kind of 6 to 8 months, Jess is speaking with the lawyers around how to get the employment contract in place.
Yeah.
So we've split it that way. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Jess does all the HR or I do all the IT, but it means that one of us takes ownership over that kind of business unit.
So that was actually something that was recommended to us from a business coach that we saw really early days, and it was around making sure that you're not doubling up. So you create efficiencies if you know whose role something is, even from the outset. Just really segregating those roles makes sense, but also position those roles with the person that's going to enjoy or naturally be better at those sort of roles as well. So you would never have me as your head of IT. It just not is a role that I'm very capable of. And so I think that doing that really early on also helped the team know that if they had specific questions, they knew what to go to Glen for and what to come to me for, which was good.
Yeah. Very good. And so we just did our employment contracts recently as well. The lady was asking me what our dress code was. Do you have a dress code in your employment contracts?
I don't think so.
It's funny, people have asked us in our interviews what the dress code is. In fact, Charlotte from our team was talking about this the other day, and I suggested to her in the interview it was pretty casual, and she reminded me that I actually had a jumper on with a panda on the front of it, so she knew pretty early on that we were pretty cash. I think we've just said in interviews that we want people to be cash but professional, but we've never put it in our contract.
Yeah.
Common sense
I
approach.
just started laughing when the lady asked me, but
haven't had to deal with that yet. But maybe it is something that we'll add in the future if we need to.
Don't know. To think you've got maternity leave though, 3 months paid for any aspiring paraplanners out there that want to get in and then just like throw off a maternity leave bomb.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, that's not really what we're thinking about. But in all seriousness, like Glen and I set to build a business that is amazing to work, from a client perspective, to work with clients. But we want a team that love working with us and that, really are proud to say that they work for Fox Hare. And we want to give them stuff that's outside of just paying them their salary. And we do a whole heap of cool things, and that's continually pivoting. But, I think as a modern business, like you can't just expect to hire people and pay them a salary and that's enough. That's not enough anymore.
And what if you marry them though? Is that?
Look,
that's an added layer of complexity.
You've taken a unique approach. Luckily for Glen and I, that's not going to be a thing we need to consider. And we haven't considered that at all, actually.
Right. Yes,
I think there's a Richard Branson quote that talks to look after your staff, your number one priority, because you look after your staff and then that look after your clients. So we've really, really embraced that.
Sure. And so you're mucking up my order a little bit, but team is definitely one of the questions that I had on my list, because one of the learnings for me personally is that you can't build a great business without a great team. It does really, I battled at it for like I did it myself for a year, then I brought Yang, who's now my wife, into the business for another year, the two of us, and we tried to not expand the team beyond that. And it constrains growth. You can't do it all yourself. You end up limiting your potential to serve the market. So what are how have you approached the team? What have been the key sort of lessons that you've learned there?
In terms of the hiring process.
Yeah, building your team over time. How did you go about it? Like, what was the progression in terms of the people that you hired and the roles that you hired for?
So interesting. So we did have a little, it's not been the easiest, and it comes with its challenges because this isn't something that Jess and I know. Like we've never done it before. We've worked for corporates that have huge, huge HR teams, but we have gone down the path of, looking at working with recruiters, which I think has been quite successful. Also getting them to do psychometric tests. Again, not to, understand their, financial literacy or, whether they want to go to a party or read a book, those kinds of questions, but more around how aligned are they to the role that we're hiring for. And also just making sure they fit from a cultural perspective. Whereas there's only 4 of us in the office, if they're not on board from a cultural perspective and, understand our values and are aligned with our values, then it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, really, that we need someone that's going to enjoy the role. But for me, I find that the values and that alignment, if you've got someone that generally you guys have set your business values and there be, aligned to your personal values where you work hard and you do the right thing and you look after people and all of those sorts of things. So if you find, and I've hired poorly in the past, especially when I first started the company, trying a couple of different things, and you just end up you're fighting an uphill battle because the person just doesn't have that alignment. And I think it's one of the biggest lessons for me is if you find that person, then you hire on capability that people can learn. It's not rocket science. Like there's difficult elements to the role, but if you've got that alignment and people in place, then you can, I suppose have that and get to where you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's such a painful lesson to learn. And as a small business owner and a new advisor and someone who is trying to, the learning trajectory is strong. If you've never had to do this before and you make a wrong hire, that's a really, really big impact across multiple areas of the business. And, my big takeout from all of it was around, to Glen's point, really understand the role that someone is going to work, well in that role. And are they going to grow out of that role? Are they going to want to move on fairly quickly? And do you have the capabilities to support that growth? Because if you don't, then you shouldn't hire someone who's super ambitious for that role either. And then train them, like really onboard them. Like small businesses are so good at, just throwing people into the role, and you're just setting everyone up for failure, because how are you meant to, if you go to a big corporate, you've got big inductions and you've got, big training. And we learned the hard way that you actually need to invest a significant amount of time in training schedules and training plans, because you're really not setting up your new starter to feel like they're getting themselves into the role well either.
Yeah, definitely. And I think clear expectations, that's something that I've learned is the most important thing. Like KPIs from a day-to-day perspective, but expectations are saying, these are the core things of the role. These are the things that you absolutely have to do, and these are the things that you absolutely cannot do. Yeah. And if that happens, if this doesn't happen, or if this does happen, then this is a major problem. And then just super sort of ruthless with that, working towards it. I found I got through our business coach, got onto a book by Keith Cunningham, The Road Less Stupid. Fantastic book if you haven't read it already. But he talks a lot about a lot of the lessons that Keith Cunningham is the real Rich Dad Poor Dad, long story, which I won't go there on the record for. But it talks about he's built multiple multi-million and maybe even billion-dollar businesses out of the States, and he talks a lot about hiring, the lessons around that, and just having and I've used some of the words like straight out of his book, put them into our hiring manual to say, this is the role is part of the job. Like you can't have the job if you can't do the role, and so the expectations is that you're the only person that can fire yourself. This is how you can fire yourself. If you do that, then if you don't do that, or you do what you're supposed to do, then you do that. And I think what I found is that I felt like a bit of a dick when I first put it in there, because I'm like, I'll have tough conversations when I need to, but you don't want to be that. You want to have a fun and inclusive environment for your team and stuff. But I found that people like to have that clarity to say, well, these are the expectations, and they go, great, I just do what's expected of me, and then I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So
can I build on that just slightly? We've actually just reset KPIs. We went through them yesterday for the new financial year, and I think there's a couple of parts to that. So, you've been talking a lot about kind of KPIs for the role, which I think is really important, because then it helps the team as well understand what success looks like for them. But I think beyond that, like one thing that we did earlier this year, which was quite interesting, was we did a team offsite, and we actually discussed as a business what our business expectations are of each other. And so we set like a Fox Hare family doc, like if you're going to work at Fox Hare, what does working at Fox Hare actually look like? And we all made commitments within that document around how we show up every day to come to work. And I think that the benefit of doing that as a team is, it's not Glen and I talking down to the team saying, you must do this and we expect you to do this. It was all of us saying we will hold each other all accountable if we don't stick to the values that we've set as a team are really important. And I think that we're going to do that every year as the team expands, because I think it's a really inclusive way of making sure everyone understands not only their role and their KPIs, but just how stuff works around here and what we're committing to as a team to help each other.
Yeah, great. I love that. That's good. I'm making mental notes as we talk here. Offsite.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we share our KPIs. So Jess and I have KPIs, and on a weekly basis, as does the team, we all talk about our specific KPIs, challenges that we're facing, things that are going well, things that we can improve on.
Love it.
Because we're a team. It's just not just us.
And we have to be honest in being vulnerable. Like I think in big business, particularly, maybe more so at Macquarie, like there's no sense of vulnerability. If you're vulnerable or if something's not working, you are covering that up, or you're good, thanks, everything's going well. Like in a small team, we really want people to be honest and say, like, it's okay. You can put your hand up if there's too much work, or like I have been, known to say, guys, I haven't been able to get through all this week. Here's how I need to reprioritize. Like, we just need to teach teams to be better communicators, and that vulnerability is okay.
Yeah.
Because covering it up is only going to last so long.
I agree. And I think it's one of the things that you do, there's more talk about doing it from a business perspective. And I think that authenticity and vulnerability is something that it's a way to build good connections with our market, potential clients. But it's, you're right. I think that applies the same to the team.
And I think we've all been a bit shit at that.
Yeah.
As a profession, I don't think we're being very good at being vulnerable. I think there's some really good conversations starting to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a big shift that's happening.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So look, I'm keen to talk about planning, because I know that you guys did a few things that were a little sort of, had been used in other industries, but not so much in the financial advice space. So tell us a bit about the journey of how you planned out what your service was going to be, what it was going to include and not include, the results you were going to deliver. How did you go about building that?
I might let Glen answer this, but can I just say I was very fortunate in that I chose a business partner who is the most structured, the most organised, the biggest planner person there is. Loves a plan. So if you want to talk about kind of the journey that we went on.
Yeah, it was this constant, I won't call it battle, but between Jess and I and all our amazing ideas, and then me trying to work out how we're actually going to deliver on this. But so probably for about 2.5 years before we launched, Jess and I caught up pretty much weekly, talking about the two kind of areas that we focused on. I think when planning was client experience, and also building networks, because we weren't going to kind of buy a book, and we were literally starting from scratch. So we had to kind of build a bit of a pipeline. The area we didn't focus as much on, and we probably should have, was probably just the actual logistics around running an advice business, drafting the SOA and all of that kind of stuff. So we're very focused on client experience. In terms of what we did, we kind of took a step back and thought about, how would the client want to feel coming on as a client of Fox, or a prospect coming on as a client of Fox Hare. So from that very first meeting, how would we want them to walk away from that meeting feeling? When they come in, when they sign on as a client, and they come to that next session starting to kind of workshop ideas around strategies and things like that. Again, it was very much focused on, how would we want them to feel after that session, and what would we want them to get out of it. In terms of how we did that, acknowledging that everyone has very different levels of financial literacy, we spend a lot of time with our clients and we've built kind of education packs, which we're constantly kind of evolving, but working through, again, how can we ensure that when we do get to the statement of advice, when we actually deliver that document, that they understand, what a managed fund is, or what insurance they currently have before we recommend any other different type of insurance and things like that. So, and in terms of, I suppose, again, not just relying on Jess and I and how, what we thought people want, we did spend some time and hosted a number of focus groups before we launched. And this was to really share with, a room full of people that would have been our ideal client, and a number of them have actually come on as clients.
Yeah, interesting marketing strategy.
Yeah. Sharing with them and being really, really vulnerable and saying, this is what we're thinking. And to be honest, getting them to rip it apart and say, oh, I get that. I don't really understand that. Oh, this sounds really good, but have you considered that? And we specifically picked people that, weren't within the financial services industry, weren't direct friends of Jess and I, and we also outsourced the facilitation so that Jess and I weren't kind of, leading their answers.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I would add to that is I think one of the advantages of us and our business is we've got a pretty niche client. And so we looked at for a long time around who is the client that we feel we can best serve and what problems do those clients have and how can we help solve their problems.
Yeah.
I think for the average financial advice business who is dealing with kind of pre-retirees all the way down to kind of the 25-year-old kids or grandkids, that is actually quite a challenge of really understanding all the diverse challenges that those clients have.
For sure, yeah.
And what's the customer experience for each of them. And I really believe that if you have a one-size-fits-all model, if you do have a big business like that in terms of the client ages, I actually don't think you would be able to meet the feeling expectation that the client has.
For all of them, yeah.
So I think the fact that we've got quite a niche client base has really meant that we can very much narrow our focus in terms of that journey and that education, because the problems that our clients are having, whilst they are real problems, there's only a handful of them.
Yeah, really. Absolutely. Yeah, I know that that's something that I've found in my business that we, work with in a sort of fairly similar space, and that's allowed me to think through the problems. What are the frustrations? What are the challenges? What are the solutions? What are we going to deliver? And then come up with this crisp marketing message, which I know you guys have got that as well, that actually gets cut through. But we do work with a range of different people, and sometimes, like now, I've got these a lot of younger people, and we're helping their parents. It's like this reverse weird thing that how financial advice has worked in the past, where the parents, where the kids are going, people in their early 30s are going, well, I'm working hard to make sure that I'm financially secure and I've got money. My concern is that if my folks aren't financially responsible, then I'm going to have to support them, and then it's going to drag down the results that I get, and it ends up being a pretty serious concern. So, especially for someone that's comfortable or wealthy, they don't want to be wealthy while their parents are struggling. So it's like, it sort of makes sense that they would want to help them. But what I've found is that when we help the parents, it's a total different ballgame. We can explain that we can explain the service in a way that connects because they all want the same results. But how you get there, and then we're shifting our processes, and they won't use Dropbox, and they struggle with the video conferencing. They want to come in for all the meetings, which I don't mind, but it is a total different thing, and it definitely takes us a lot more time. So I don't know how people do it. One, getting cut through, I think, would be impossible from a business perspective, but also just the efficiencies. It's like you need to run a 30s and 40s business versus a 60s and 50s and 60s business versus a business owner business. Again, it's all sort of different challenges. So I think that's interesting. So tell me, when you say you thought through the the problems and the challenges and the frustrations for the people that you wanted to help. How did you go about doing that?
Yeah, so I think what was interesting out of those focus groups was actually our first focus group was all around how do you feel about financial advice? And what we found really upfront was that our ideal client does not think that they need financial advice. So there were kind of two sets of problems and challenges here. So the first one was around this perception that you've got to be wealthy to get advice, that advice is for old, rich, white men, because that's really who it's being marketed to, and that they didn't know what value they were getting for the fee. So there was all these kind of barriers to entry around understanding, okay, well, at least we know eyes wide open why clients may not want, or why people may not want to come on as a client. How are we going to look to solve those problems? So that's around education, around how starting early can make such a significant difference, what financial advice can mean for someone if you're not wealthy. You know, we've tried to make sure that in all of our content that we were delivering, we were really trying to educate people around those barriers, and then talking about the specific, because I see those as problems, because if you're not going to get advice because you don't think you need it, or you don't think you've got enough money for it, that in itself is a problem that we have to deal with. And then for those people that did come on as clients, we had to really understand, okay, well, what are the financial impacts of all of these things? So having a baby, cool, that's a really common goal for a lot of our clients. What does that actually mean? What tools do we need to think about? What, education content can we produce that's really specific for that goal? You're probably quite interested
I got
in
a
that.
spreadsheet now. I got Yang. Every time we do something, I'm like, put that in the spreadsheet, because then we can give it to the clients, and then we got the cheat sheet. So I joke around with all the clients. I'm like, I'm blazing the trail for you guys. Just, we're trying to take our customer service to the next level, so that when you're ready, we're going to lay it all up for you.
Yeah, well, if you're intending on sending your new baby to the private school, I'm sure that there's some really interesting stuff. So, we've looked at
got a spreadsheet for that.
We've got a spreadsheet for that. So we've looked at kind of the challenge, or the opportunity, or the goal, and then really started to think, okay, cool, from a financial sense, what do we need to make sure we're asking, and what do we need to start helping clients factor in? And so just because we aren't, quite niche in terms of the age range, we've looked at the most common goals: starting a business, starting a family, upgrading property, taking on debt. We've really tried to put education content around that. And I think that 90% of the goals would probably fit within sort of the education framework that we've created. And as Glenn said, we're constantly evolving it, and certainly not perfect, but it just means that we can pivot the content based on the right kind of challenge or opportunity to discuss with the client.
And is that for attraction though? Is that for new potential client attraction, or is that for once you've engaged a client, then you're going, okay, well, here's the stuff?
Yeah, I think the whole part around why you should get advice and why that makes sense when you're early, that's definitely to the broader market. But to Glenn's point, both, definitely both. The conversations that we have for clients, though, are significantly more in depth.
Yes. I mean, kind of thinking about the planning stage, and also, how we kind of developed this. We just spent a lot of time trying to, answer as many questions as we thought would come out in the conversations, and then so that when we've got kind of on our SharePoint, we've got a list of kind of resources, and when particular issues come up, we've got resources that we can give to our clients, whatever the issue may be. Again, constantly educating them.
Yeah, sure. And so it's been a little bit since I've stalked your website, but so you've got different levels of your service offering. Can you talk us through how did you go about putting those together? And also what they are.
What they are. So 3 levels. Get sorted, like a boss, and world domination.
Nice.
So get sorted is really for those in their 20s, I'd say, late 20s, early 30s, that really just want to set the foundation. They've never really thought about their finances before. They're starting to earn, reasonable money, 60, 80, 100K, and they're thinking, actually, I probably need to start thinking about this rather than wasting it all. Then you've kind of moved into the Like a Boss program. So that's typically for those that maybe have a small portfolio of shares, or they've bought their first investment property, or, their income starting to kind of tick up into that, that higher income bracket. And they've probably got a little bit more complexity in their space, and there's much more accountability with the Like a Boss program as well. So we have progress meetings with our clients every 12 to 16 weeks with the Like a Boss program, and then there's world domination. And if I'm honest, we don't have many clients in the world domination program, and that's because it's really for those that have quite complex financial structures, companies, trusts, self-managed super funds, and things like that. Really, the way that it's kind of evolved is that the client chooses which one they feel is right for them, and then it's almost like they move through the programs as they move through kind of different stages in life. Starting off with Get Sorted, then they kind of want to ramp it up a little bit more, Like a Boss, and then finally the world domination phase.
Nice. And have they changed? Have your packages changed in the 18 months since you started your business?
The programs themselves have evolved, definitely, but haven't had kind of seismic changes. We have made some changing to pricing and making sure that that's where it needs to be, and that has evolved. But broadly, it's been more kind of iterations on what we had initially built.
Okay. And what does it include? So the Get Sorted, what's covered in that?
So it's so the Get Sorted and the Like a Boss program, or really all programs, it is looking at every facet of their financial, whether it's tax minimization, cash flow, super, insurances, etc. With the Get Sorted program, though, because again their financial world probably isn't as complex. So it is an annual progress meeting. So we don't refer to them as reviews. They're progress meetings in our world. But in saying that, we internally have kind of diarised to reach out to these specific clients at specific, each quarter. So the client doesn't know that's kind of a review, but it's almost seen as kind of a random reach out. But we do work in the background to kind of give them a call and then say, hey, wanted to give you an update on this, and this. And these are the things that we've kind of been thinking about and kind of keep guiding the conversation from there. The Like a Boss program, like I said, there's much more face-to-face interaction with that 12 to 16 week progress meeting kind of turnaround. But also we've just started, so we're using My Prosperity, which is something that, I'm sure many of the listeners kind of have played with or considered. And now we're starting to reach out to our clients off the back of those automated emails. So for an example, we can set goals within that platform. I need to save $10,000 for a holiday or whatever the case may be. And they'll get an automated email on a monthly basis through the program as to whether they're on or off track. And Kat in our team, if they're off track, she'll send them an email saying, hey, is there anything that we need to do? Noticed you're off track. If they're off track for kind of 2 months in a row, the task will get flicked to Jess and I to say, hey, what's going on? Something must be happening with regards to the cash flow kind of piece.
Right.
So we're trying to be much more proactive in terms of our approach rather than just catching up with someone and saying, hey, this is what happened for the last year, and then catching up with them again and saying, hey, this is what happened the last year. It's more around saying, hey, notice you've been off track for the last 4 weeks or so. Let's not wait a year to talk about it. Let's have a conversation now as to why that may be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know that's something that I found when working with clients. You follow this typical sort of annual review type service offering, or we were doing it with some of our clients, doing a 6 monthly review, and it's just so easy for people to get off track. So that I found that the increasing the frequency of those contacts really keeps people in line. And ultimately, if they're going to be a client of yours, you want to make sure they're getting results, because if they, one, it's great, obviously you're helping them, but from a business perspective, no one's going to keep being a client if they're not getting results for an extended period of time. Otherwise, there's no point going there in the first place. So cool. And so I think another thing that it sounds like you've got your services very nailed down. For me as well, one of the things that I've found is that allows you to drive a lot of efficiency in the way that you work internally. And I see Jess smirking because why, Jess?
Because, being very honest, let's be vulnerable. We hated our financial planning software when we launched, and we were like, oh, it's really shit. Like, we're not even
It's ugly.
It's super ugly.
Yeah.
We're not even
They
going
are
to.
all pretty ugly.
Well, that's the problem. We weren't used to it. We never used advice software before.
We used like Salesforce. Anyway, we had all this cool tech that was really beautiful, and we got advice software, and we're like, oh, this is so ugly. So in our infinite wisdom, we didn't use it, and we were like poo-pooing it a little bit, and we just got ourselves into this massive jam where we were literally using like Post-it note, like just so shit, and such a poor way to run a business. And sadly, I would suggest by the amount of times that we've actually broken the financial planning software, I don't think many people actually use the financial planning software very much, because if we as a tiny business have found so many things that actually need updating within the software because it doesn't work properly, it blows my mind that big businesses mustn't have found these errors yet. So look, Glenn, being the OCD king that he is, very much adopted, we basically got to a point where we realized probably Q3 of last calendar year, holy shit, like we cannot keep growing like we have been and keep using Post-it notes for so very many reasons, but clearly just not an efficient
Not the
way.
least of which, Post-it notes very expensive, which you'll figure out when you have to buy them yourself. They are
so expensive. They do give them away at conferences.
Oh yeah,
Jess knows all the people at 3M now.
Yeah, that's it. Wait until they're in session is what I've found. All the tables are unattended.
Yeah,
so
expensive.
And when you're a BDM, you just think those people are so funny. And now that I'm on the other side, I'm like 5 of these pens and 3 of these notepads. Anyway, so basically Glenn had to put down tools and basically work out how the hell to build the business in the back end to make it efficient. So, to take the risk off us that the Post-it note blew away, God help us if it was ever windy. But also, now that we had new team members involved, we needed to be able to really segregate roles. And so it's been a huge, huge undertaking, but we are pretty embedded into our financial planning software in terms of efficiencies and workflows and tasks and threads and all the other fancy words for it. But, our team knows exactly how much work's got to happen this week. We know how much everyone's got on their plates at any time. There's notes, like it's been a huge transformation for efficiency.
And talking about, I suppose, bringing it back to kind of planning, we focused, the mistake that we made is that we focused on things that we really enjoyed and we were really good at. We knew how to sell. We knew the marketing. We loved people. We loved the client experience piece. I joke that, one day, we caught up and we were even talking about where our office was going to be, what it was going to smell like, and all of this kind of stuff.
Well, you do have that fancy diffuser thing.
We do,
right?
It's Bushmint, and we focused on that stuff because we loved it, and we enjoyed doing it. We didn't focus on the actual back end process.
Which is sort of like pretty important.
Which
it's
is
okay if
super important.
When you've got like a dozen clients and then you've only got a dozen Post-it notes, that's okay. But when you find, when you've got more, the more clients you've got, the more you need to have good back-end foundations.
It was just the unknown. We kind of almost didn't know where to start again because we'd just never written an SOA before.
So if you are working in a big corporate or a bigger financial advice firm and you are planning on going out on your own, definitely think about client experience, definitely understand what problems you're solving and who you want to work with. But for goodness sake, figure out your journey. And don't just figure out customer experience journey. Work out what do you need to have happen at a business level to be able to fulfill. Because Glenn became like a little bit like Cruella de Vil at one point and like just a bit crazy because he's so structured and organised and it was shambolic in the background. And now it's so structured. If you came into our business and had access to our software and you could read English, you would be able to do our processes because everything is documented. There's notes on how to do every note, every task in the note. And the idea is that as our team does expand, they can literally read all of the task descriptions, go to each task, and they should really be able to follow their nose, which is pretty impressive turnaround in a short space of time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks, Glenn.
Good work, Glenn. Yeah, I think I've found that I'm pretty process-minded as well myself and had the distinct advantage on you two of having actually been a financial advisor before and knowing when I started my business what what were the things that needed to happen to behind the scenes to deliver all of the nice feelings as well. And it's been a journey. It's been a lot. I sort of geek out on that process piece, but I know now with team, we've brought on a couple of people. Well, brought on 3 new team members in the last 6 months, and they walk in, especially we've got like a client success person, and then just this week started a person more on the admin side of that. But they walk in and say, "Holy crap! Like it's all just there, and it's got the notes, and there's a link to like a little video and the things, and they can just sort of follow it through." So I think that's important, and plus it allows you to scale without you meeting your client results, doing things compliantly, and able to manage things from a business perspective. I love though that you're getting that visibility from a team level. I don't have that, so I'm going to try and figure out how I can get that.
Yeah, so even to that point, in our weekly meetings, we go through any tasks that are overdue. And the conversation is, why your tasks so overdue? It's more around, is there capacity that we need to share with the rest of the team?
Yeah.
Is there, and I'm constantly kind of speaking with the team around, is there anything that could be changed? Is there something that could be more efficient? Constantly kind of tweaking it. And it's just really nice now that the foundation is there, and it is just improving on the existing structure as opposed to really starting from scratch.
Yeah, very good. Look out, world. So, look on the planning side of things. What is one thing that didn't work that you thought would?
Didn't work that we thought would. That's a tough one.
It's a good one. Hiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. We made a false start with our first hire. And if I think about not only like for a variety of reasons, including us being really non-specific about the role and stretching this person way too much and not providing the right training and just really loose expectations, like we thought that would work and it really didn't. And it really led to seismic change of how we hire new staff members, but a very sad and expensive lesson.
For sure. Yeah, I find that the time that you spend is probably the most expensive part, even though recruiters are expensive and all the things that just that amount of time at the start, and it's a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah,
so.
and I think it just comes down to the wrong hire for the particular role that we needed filled.
Correct.
More than anything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Learning curve.
So the lesson is specific with your job specs.
Hire for the role and with the values for your business.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what's something that worked that you didn't think would work?
I've got one. Jess always gloats about this. Yeah. So the whole PR piece. So
how many Facebook likes now?
Not so much social, but also, trade magazines and things like that. We've been really fortunate in that a lot of people have been interested in, I suppose, what we're doing because we are trying to really do something quite different. A number of journalists and things have reached out to us, and I wasn't sure that would actually result in any kind of clients. I was like, no one reads, clients don't read, financial advice magazines. But something that, I was proven wrong for was that although they might not read the magazine, they see on our website that we've been featured in this particular article or this particular magazine, or we've kind of had an opinion about this particular issue. And it's just created a lot of credibility. Rather than us just saying what we do, having other people to tell our story has created a lot of opportunity from a client acquisition standpoint.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that trust is so important. And there's so many people out there in that space that as soon as you've got someone else talking about you, that's like five additional points in that, like less crazy, not crazy.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the more you can get, it's like, there's 3 people that said about maybe they're actually not crazy. So.
Yeah. Do you have anything that's worked that you didn't think of?
I think maybe one of the other things that's been really interesting for us is we've got charity partners that are really important to us, both personally and professionally. And, they really speak to who we are as a business and what we care about. And it's just been really interesting that because we're really passionate about the charities that we've done stuff for, we just naturally want to help them succeed and thrive. And we actually have got really interesting opportunities from that we didn't really go in to it from. I really believe that all organisations have a role and a responsibility to give back, and I think that that's a really core fundamental belief of us as a business. And so we sat down and really thought about what is genuinely really important to us, and let's find charities that align to that. And the intention was just to help them because we believe what they're doing is good. And even only this week, I went and spoke at a event in Melbourne for a charity that we work with on financial literacy for women. And I'm super passionate about that. And it's so exciting that, that charity who we've worked with since we basically started the business, I'm now speaking on behalf of them to help women with financial literacy. So I think that's probably something that has been really interesting.
Yeah, awesome. And again, on the building an identity for your business, authority in the market, and that trust.
Yeah, and I think about more broadly beyond 12 months ago or 9 months ago, it was just Jess and I. But now the team has really embraced the charities.
Yeah.
So we've done kind of team fundraising. Our clients have embraced the charities in that, we hosted a workshop and put on breakfast and basically said, look, this breakfast would have cost you $10. We'd love for you to donate to one of these charities, and we'll match what you donate. And then the third thing is our referral partners have embraced them. So we don't take referral fees from anybody, but a mortgage broker that we work quite closely with, he actually, if we refer his team a client and he writes the loan, he actually donates $500 to our charity of choice.
Oh, great.
So it's just really nice to see that it's now kind of it's a bit of an ecosystem around kind of the Fox and Hare family. It's nice.
Awesome. I love that. Cool. So look, guys, I could seriously, if they brought in that lentil salad from outside, I could talk all day. But a few quick ones for you before we go. Biggest oops moment or stuff up?
Biggest oops moment. Oh God.
Remember that time in the beginning where you thought you transferred?
Oh yeah, that was really bad.
Very bad.
Probably like 3 months in, I thought I transferred the client's money to the wrong account. I was like, oh my God, I've fucking lost the money. But I had not. I didn't read my post-it note properly, and I did. Actually, there was no problem at all. But Jess was very supportive. She's like, oh, it'll be fine. Really
screaming.
Really cool kind of reflected. So that was. I still remember that vividly. Have not done that again.
Very good.
I don't have like a big size, like a big pointy one.
Big, just the biggest one.
But like I am not structured and not organised as a person, and I'm okay to say that because I'm very good at other things. I think for me, my biggest one is actually just working in a really, like being a financial advisor is really structured and you have to be really organised and on top of everything. I kind of constantly am like, oops. So I'm having lots of little oopses, maybe then one big one.
Right.
To stay on track.
Okay. Cool. So one of the other questions is going to be, how do you organise yourself, organise your day?
So do client meetings, so 5 days a week, including Saturday. Wednesday, I block out the entire day. I get in at about 6 o'clock in the morning. I go to the gym between kind of 12 and probably 1:30, and then I work until probably about 6 or 7, depending on whether I've got client meetings. And yeah, pretty structured. Typically most clients come to us, even prospects come to us to have coffee. We've got a beautiful cafe here in the office, which is quite nice. That's my broad structure.
All I would add to that is, I mean, obviously we've got tasks, so we come in every day and we've got a workflow that we work from. We do monthly team meetings, we do weekly team meetings, we do daily huddles to work out what everyone's priority is, and if there's something that needs to be kind of shuffled or kind of helped with, we kind of muck in there. So we've got quite a business cadence, if you like. So we know what stuff's coming. We know what KPIs we're talking about at a monthly level versus a weekly level. Glenn and I have a separate meeting to talk about clients and making sure that we understand who's coming on and what do we need to think about. If I've got more clients than Glen and I've got heaps of work, then Glen will say, cool, I'll take on all the new clients for the next little bit. So, in terms of managing day to day, sure, but then we've kind of tried to take that up a level as well.
Yeah, so we have monthly directors meeting, which goes for 3 or 4 hours. And then every 3 months, Jess and I catch up for a full day and really just focus on the business. And we block, if we have the session, we have the strategy day, and then we book in the next one. Because we know if we don't, it's just not going to happen. And the next one is the week after the AFA conference. Because we know we're going to go there, we're going to hear a whole lot of things that we may want to kind of take on board. So the following week, we've blocked out that day to go, okay, what are the key takeouts? What are the things that we need to change and pivot in order to kind of build on what we've already started?
Awesome. Yeah. Love it. Favorite app or tech tool?
HubSpot, had it down.
Yeah. HubSpot's amazing.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I keep thinking of like app, like phone. No, HubSpot, I'll agree.
Okay. Productivity hack.
Productivity hack.
I like for anything organised how you defer to
productivity hack.
I've got one. Do the shittest task first.
Eat the frog.
Yeah, just do it.
Get in before people start asking you questions. So from about 6 till about 8:30, I've got 2.5 hours of pure bliss. Yeah. Just me, my meditation music on Spotify, and my diffuser going.
Don't harass me in the morning.
Love that. Yeah, it's good. I do that at home. I get up early and then get cracking before I go to the gym. And, before all the action happens. So,
yeah.
Very good. What's your spirit animal?
Mine would be a gorilla.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I just like them because they're really majestic, and I feel like they're kind of the unsung hero of the jungle. It's not like a lion that's like really, really out there, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with lions, but I just really like that they're very family orientated, and they just seem really loving.
They're probably really structured too.
Yeah.
Organised with their nuts and their berries and stuff.
Yeah.
Mine's a horse.
Oh.
Yeah, I just think that they are strong and wild and beautiful, and they can be on their own and they can be part of a group. They work well.
What colour?
Oh my gosh, I haven't got down to the colour of my spirit animal. I'll go with red.
Ginger.
Yeah, let's go chestnut. I think it's chestnut when it's a horse. Let's go with the chestnut horse.
Very good. Well,
maybe we should have said fox and hare, but anyway, we
probably should have. Yes. Well, Jess, Glen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And we've got 4 more coming in this series on setting up an awesome plan for your business.
I'll be listening to those. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Oh.